Good evening, folks. It's September 12th, 2016, and I'm going to do a short video on the MonoValve on a W123 Mercedes-Benz. And there's the valve up there. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff, and we're actually going to change one out. So here's the little valve is in this thing, the valve housing or valve body, whatever you want to call it. These 4 screws got to come out, and this little connector has to come off. We're going to put a probe on it and test the connection and see if there's power to it. Then we'll change out the valve. So bear with us. I'll try and keep this video short. These are a common failure in this vehicle, I guess. By the looks of it, I'm pretty sure it's an OEM. This car came out of California. It's an 82 300 Benz 5-cylinder turbo diesel. So yeah. So the next time you see this, the cap will be off and this will be
okay,
on,
so if you look closely, right up there, look at the amount of corrosion that is on the connectors and that little thing that just fell off in there. So I'm going to have to clean up these ends. So that has to be cleaned up. Those look terrible. Okay, so here's an update. The clip that held this on is gone. It's eaten in the engine somewhere. It's probably behind the starter and done by the tranny pan. Without tearing a bunch of stuff off, I'm not going to get it. So this is very frail. Okay, the connection point is very frail. I'll probably have to order this line or something, or maybe find it someplace. Now, as you can see right now, I'm just kind of gently scuffing it. You know, my careless ass, I should have, instead of taping, I probably should have just held on to it. That's my dumb ass, but oh well. So I'm going to slide these back off, and I'm going to clean these posts and put some dielectric grease on them, and tape them up with electrical. And I'll be very careful of this. But that's what's going on. So that's just an update. So this is an error, live error. And yeah, we'll keep going here.
Okay, update. We took off the MonoValve out of the housing. We removed the mounting housing bolts, pulled it out, took the little screws out, and we took it out. Here's what we got. This is the MonoValve. Sorry for the blurriness. This thing is really corroded. The seals look intact, but it looks really ugly. We're going to try and pry it out of there and clean it and see what we come up with. But this solenoid is probably bad. That's what I'm thinking. So I might have to order this solenoid. So yeah, there we go. MonoValve is out. And wish me luck. A little harder than I thought in terms of just parts falling apart. We lost the clip in there somewhere, so I don't know if that's going to be replaceable. But we're going to try and repair it. So, okay, stay tuned for part 3 or 4 or wherever I'm at. Okay, so it is September the 16th, 2016, and we're still working on the W123. Ran into some more problems. When we took apart the MonoValve, it was all rusted and shot, and I took video of that. And we got the replacement part today. It came from Connecticut, and the guy sold me junk. This is all broken shot. The good news is I have a fresh MonoValve. I figured if I'm going to do all this, and since I had a little bit of heat issues, it was getting up to about 90 to 100 centigrade. Do it all. Do the radiator, do the fan clutch, do the thermostat, pump the system clean. So that's what we're doing. So as you can see, I'm doing the water pump right now, and we're taking out the bolts. The water pump bolts, here we go, right there. I'm taking them out. There's one underneath there, and I follow Mercedes source. Shout out to Kent Bergsma out west Coast guy. He knows a lot about Mercedes. I've been following a lot of his tips, and they're working. So thank you, big thank you to Kent. Hopefully he gets to see this YouTube video someday. Water pump on this car is not terrible, but what really sucked was taking out the fan. I didn't shoot video of that. I'll try and do a video of the install. the fan is a pain in the ass. And so was trying to move the alternator. I know there's 2 bolts in this thing, but this thing is not fun. Somebody altered the adjustment screw. It's actually bent out of place, so I'm going to try and fix this somehow. Other than that, I don't have my light. Maybe I unplugged it. Yeah, I unplugged it. It's been a mission. We're going to get this off tonight. I'll take another short video. We'll inspect it. I'll show you the fresh MonoValve I got. Parts are in the cabinet there. But that's really it. It's just taking this thing off. And I'd love to start up the camera. I'm going to have to get a camera stand when I do some of these jobs. Tonight I spent a good hour and a half cleaning up the front of the engine. It was just soaked in grease. I put a plastic bag down to catch any coolant that does spill, which it will. Yeah, this is a big job. But not in terms of like difficulty, it's just a lot of prep and a lot of cleaning, and I like to take my time and do it right. So there's the water pump right there. And we're going to take those bolts out. You got to be really careful with these 8.8mm bolts. The fasteners are very frail and the car this old. I should really get a replacement set, or at least go look at some tomorrow. So there we go. Wish me luck. Take another video in a few minutes of the water pump coming out.
All right, it is September 17th. More than a few more minutes after the last video. September 17th, and we're still working on the W123. The water pump is out, and it's all cleaned up, ready for reinstall. We're going to put just a thin layer of RTV on that from the outer ring, and then I'll put the gasket on. And then the gasket's a little cracked, so I'm a little concerned. I'm going to have to find the spots where it cracked. I'm trying to aim them toward the top and RTV them up. I'll put the thermostat on. So here's the water pump. And it's not terrible, but I'm sure it's OEM. And it's just, there's a lot of rust and stuff in there, so we're just gonna replace. So, but yeah, here it is. And as you can see, and I'm not a fan of iPhone focusing. Kind of sucks, but you know, it's a little blurry. But you know, it moves and all. It turns free. It just it doesn't feel the best. So, time for new water pump. So yeah, there she is, and there we go. In a few minutes, I'll make another video with the reinstall. Again, I don't have a camera stand, and I don't have the time to on the phone. I just don't think I have enough memory to record a 30-minute video on this thing. So, but all right, there we go. So stay tuned, and we'll get that new water pump on there. And there it is. There's the water pump mounting bracket and housing. So, all right, so here's the update. We got it on. It is 10 Newton meters, and I just put hand tight. I call it native torque. My torque wrench sucks, so I need to get a digital one. But yeah, I put them on. Nice hand, good hand tight. Make sure they crush the gasket. Gasket was a little weak on one side. And now I'm doing the thermostat. There's the orientation of the thermostat. As you can see, it's perpendicular to that top part of the housing here. It's actually to the 10 o'clock position if you're looking at the engine facing the back of the car. See it right there. So that's going to go there. Here's our issue. And look very closely at this. Do you see how thin this is? This is very thin here. And I know this is the gasket, but I'm going to RTV a very thin bead around this thing, right around the outside edges, come around, and hopefully that RTV does take, just as a little extra precautionary measure. I'm thinking, I don't know how well that's going to seal when I put it up and mount it. So we're going to put a little RTV in here, and hopefully it squishes outward and not inward toward this seal. Again, I'm not a certified Mercedes or diesel mechanic. I'm an apprentice. But it's trial and error, and it's by the book. And this is just one of the tricks
I'm figuring out. Years ago I did a Jeep and I had some of these same problems where we had thin housings, and I forgot to take the paper off one of my gaskets and it started leaking right away. So we'll know right away once we fill this thing with water how well we're gonna turn out. So again, RTV on this little corner here. I'm just gonna go all the way around it. I know this is the gasket, but I'm not taking any chances. So we'll RTV it and see how we do. So wish me luck. All right. Okay, video update. Let's see what we got here. The MonoValve has been changed out. I put in the MTC. I've heard a lot of complaints, but we're going to give it a shot. The diaphragm's intact, and we got to give it a try. I mean, if it works, it works. If it don't. If not, I'm going to put a manual open and close valve on this for the winter, and just leave it open and then shut it off next summer, and just figure this out. I mean, I'm debating, honestly, whether I should rip this whole engine out and sell it and make this into a street rod and put a 327 Chevy in it. But a lot of Mercedes owners would probably be like, why the hell are you pulling out a good engine? It has 100,000 miles on it. So I didn't know a lot of these cars had these parts, so this has been a learning experience. Remember, I broke this. Taking it apart, it was all rusted together, and the guts of it are right there. As you can see, it's just... I cleaned this all up. I cleaned up the body. I cleaned up the washer. I cleaned up the internal parts. I blew air through it. I mean, it seems to work. Remember, the only thing I made, my big mistake here, was I lost the clip. The little clip for the 12 volt in the ground. So I'm going to have to be very careful in putting this back on and electrical tape it up and make sure it doesn't contact each other and short out. So that's the latest with the MonoValve. The MonoValve is going to get reinstalled back into its position right there. And the water flows up or in and then down that way. So it's going to, I think it comes out of the core, but I have to look at the schematic. But yeah, there we go. So MonoValve is going back in. So wish me luck. Hope it works. There's a new valve inside there for 16 bucks that may or may not do the job. We shall see. All right. Oh yeah, by the way, Bosch doesn't make these anymore. Bosch was the company that made the little MonoValve. As you can see, I pulled mine out the other day and it just fell apart. It's all stuck together. And the diaphragm in here is ripped. So this little diaphragm is ripped. And I hate this because the phone doesn't want to focus very well. But that's our problem. Okay, alright. Back at it. Alright, so big job's done here today. We have the water pump on. As you can see right there, get the light out of the way. Water pump is on. Whoop, there we go. So that's done. Got the, this is just sitting on here. I got the water pump and thermostat, sorry. Thermostat, water pump, we gotta do belts. MonoValve is reinstalled. In order to take this off, you just take off these two bolts, unplug this very carefully. This is frail, and mine lost it in there. It's a brand new MTC. Hopefully it works. I've heard a lot of unfavorable reviews, so we'll see how this goes. Brand new valve body, came all the way from Connecticut, hooked everything up. Everything's screwed in there. I gotta tighten this all up. Check this out. Would you think this is a motor mount? Whole thing. Motor mounts or just loose? We'll get under there and take a look. Pretty oily underneath. A little bit of tranny leak under there too. So we have to do a little bit of inspecting here. So it's coming along. There isn't much more to report today. This is probably it for the day. So a new radiator coming. New fan clutch coming. So those two things will fill her up with coolant. And get the hoses back on, everything hooked up down there. And then we're good to go. So, alright. So this has been a fun adventure. Appreciate everybody watching this on YouTube or wherever, whatever site you're watching it on. And if there's any other W123 owners out there, 300 turbo diesel owners, feel free to chime in or chat. I'd love to learn more about these cars. And it's been a learning process. It's been really fun. I've had some offers on it already. So these were cool cars. And here it is. So I'll take a quick once around it. The classic big round headlights. I mean, the shape of these things is timeless, you know. I just love it. I mean, what can you say? You know, this is a cool car. Oh, there's my plate. Don't want to really get that in there. Really, I mean, you know, you do have to fix these things. They're well engineered, but when something goes wrong, and things go wrong in cars, you gotta fix it. So, all right, signing off. We'll catch you next time, and we'll put the video all together when this thing's all done.
All right, so. It is. I don't even know what date it is. September 20. Oh, maybe 26th. We'll have to check the calendar. New radiator going in, and then never mind the plate. Water pump is in, but there's a little gap down here. I don't know how well that's going to hold up. I'm going to run some coolant through it and see if we get a leak. We'll see what happens. So radiator is now going in. Everything's cleaned up and ready to rock and roll. So here we go. This is the next part. Assembling. All right. All right. So got a lot done. The fan is back onto the new clutch. We got a new radiator, and I scratched the holy hell out of it. You can see a bunch of scuffs in there. Trying to get the fan on. That was a bitch. I don't care what anybody says. These suck. I mean, this wasn't fun. The belts, I got the best tension I could on them. Hopefully it doesn't leak. On the very bottom there, the pump, kind of that last bottom bolt, you can kind of see it in this light. It may leak there. I won't know until we get her loaded with the coolant, and that's coming up next. So we got a lot done. This was not easy. It was actually a little more difficult than I thought it was originally going to be. This is tight, torqued on. Well, not torqued, but it's tight. Belts have good play. All hoses are in position. We just got to put this back together on this side right here. Banjo bolt. If anybody can help me out, what the hell is a banjo bolt and what does it do? I'd be much obliged. So that's it. Originally, oh, that's real cool. Block the camera for a minute. Edit at this point, 128. The original job was to change the MonoValve. We did that. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to put a manual valve on it. I'm really considering swapping this out and just doing a good old boy 350 or 327 in it. Making a night car, you know, just run around in. Excuse my voice, I got a cold. So, pumps on, thermostat's in, fan clutch changed, MonoValve done. It needs a valve adjustment. It needs a lot of little stuff. It needs work. I mean, it's, you know, I'm surprised it runs as good as it does for the amount of stuff that needs to go back into this thing. We're gonna put some coolant in now. We're gonna hook all this back up. All I gotta do is put on the upper hose. So in the next video, you'll probably see it running, or you'll at least see it completed. Thank you. All right, so here we go. Air cleaner's back on. And it was a pain in the butt for a couple of tries. Got it back on. Intake's back on. Turbo airflow, whatever you want to call it, back on tube. Belts are all on. We're ready to load this water. So I'm going to siphon some of this into the block, into the pump on top. I'll use the hose and I'll put some in here. So there, and there, and over there. So wish me luck. This is it. And then we're going to start it up. All up and running. This is a problem. Yeah. Hear it? Watch. Bleeding out of there. All right, it is August, or not August anymore. It's September 27th, 2016, and here is the W123. Got a lot done on this thing. It still has some problems, still has some issues. Do a little more diagnosing and a little more work to it. But as you can see, it's all back together. So let me grab the cam here and set up. New hose, okay, new hose, new water pump, new thermostat, incorrectly, RTV'd on the outside, new lower hose, full of coolant, and it runs and drives. It doesn't run too quiet though because the mounting brackets for the air cleaner are broke off. Also, I'm noticing right now, as I'm looking at this thing, looking inside here, the coolant is all drained in. So probably need to put more coolant and run this thing. We down here, it's really hard to reach and show you. Right there where I'm pointing, this little thing, see that in the tip of my finger? The screw adjuster for the alternator, we straightened out and fixed that. MonoValve, that was the original mission on this job. It is kind of working. I don't know how else to really explain that. The auto control doesn't work very well. Apparently, inside the dash of the vehicle, in the dash, I guess it's behind the glove box. There's some vacuum tubes or something. Don't quote me. W123 guys, you probably know what I'm talking about. Apparently, if they dry out or they fail, this won't work. This is kind of working. I mean, I can turn off the heat, but getting it back, I have to shut the car off, turn it on, and it resets everything, and you get heat in the car. It's really random. Temperature is running at about 100 to 105 centigrade. A little too hot for this car, so I got to figure out why. Hopefully, it's not a head. Hopefully, it's not a head gasket. It's possible. Down here, the temperature sending unit, I guess, is down here in the back somewhere. I think it's right here. Right there in the shadow. There. I guess that's a real bitch to change, but it might have to be changed as a troubleshooting measure. The fan, is, I guess, only comes on when the AC runs. Don't know, I've never heard it come on. I'd have to unplug it and clamp a battery to it and see if it runs. So that's what we got. We also have a new fan clutch in there. As you can see, I did some work to the fan. And it works pretty good, I guess. You know, it rattles and rumbles. There's a really large rattle, a really loud rattle with this. So I got to get that sorted out. So that's where I'm at here. We got it back together. It runs and drives. I did run it down the road. Took it a mile out, mile back, 2 mile total. And, you know, it ran. I mean, it ran like it did before. The funny thing is, all this work to the car, and there's been really no major difference I've noticed with any of the repairs I did. So, what does that tell me? You know, does that tell me that I didn't need to change anything, or that, you know, there are problems and these cars are just well built? Under here, as I look underneath the car, as you can see down here, pan gasket, pretty crusty. A little bit of body work is needed down here. As you can see, there's some bending in the air damper, the valance as they're called. And way in the back there, it's really hard to tell. But I have a wire hanging down. It's really hard to see with the camera. It's a wire, or it's a part of the gasket and it failed, or something came out back there. I gotta go back there and look at it. I also have a mild tranny leak. It's dripping. And I don't know if the rear seal went out in the tranny or if it's the gasket or what. So there's some more work to be done, but I'll get to it a piece at a time. Yeah, so that's the latest. That's the updates with the car. Yeah, I mean, these are awesome cars. You know, what do you, I still can't complain at how well built and how cool and classy these things really are. I mean, it goes to show you, they built a great car. Now, in the other previous entries into this video series I'm making on the car here, I've talked about putting in a small block Chevy. But apparently some guys have also put in a small block Ford, a 302. So I like to keep things original, and I know these engines are awesome. They do run a long time if they're well maintained and taken care of. You know, this is just a cruising car, Saturday night. I'm not going to be running a rally in this thing. But it's a testament to amazing machinery. And I honestly love this thing, you know. I just think this is an amazing piece of work. It's an 82 300 turbo diesel. It only has 106 to 107,000 miles on it. I got it, the odometer wasn't working. I fixed the rheostat and I fixed the odometer on it. Let's go to the startup cycle here quick. Alright, we're inside. Key in. We got tone. Glow plug out. Fires up. And I actually have the tack pump working. Tack works at random. So this thing runs. I mean, it works. And as you've seen in the previous entry, it didn't go too bad. So I'm probably gonna have a little bit of diesel in here. Smoke. Sorry. So that's where we're at, guys. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. It's probably about 25 minutes long total. Maybe a little more, a little less. I really appreciate it. Everybody comments or just says something about it. Again, if you guys know about these cars, feel free to comment or talk to me about them or send me a message. TK421. Trooper TK421 on YouTube. Or Eric V. That's my name. There's them. That's a really cool thing. Germans made it so the hood could stand up. You know, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, so there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. This is pretty much the last video. I did want to add one more of me driving, but that's right, next time. So, as we say in my language, Doksta. So, alright, guys. That's it. Stand up, standing rock, no DAPL. Here I am working on diesel. Yeah, so there we go. So, alright, we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.